There is a kind of confidence that everyone notices, but very few people truly understand. It isn't the confidence that demands attention, competes for recognition, or constantly tries to prove itself. Instead, it is the quiet certainty of someone who knows their value without needing the world to confirm it. This kind of confidence remains steady during success and failure alike. It doesn't disappear when criticism arrives or grow larger when praise is offered. It comes from within, built through discipline, self-awareness, and the decision to stop allowing external events to dictate your inner state. Many people unknowingly spend their lives giving away their emotional power. A harsh comment ruins their day, a compliment determines their mood, and a single rejection convinces them they are not good enough. They become passengers in their own lives because every outside opinion influences how they think and feel. Real confidence begins the moment you decide that your emotional stability belongs to you alone. You cannot control what other people say, believe, or do, but you can always choose how you respond. That choice becomes the foundation of personal strength. One of the first habits worth leaving behind is the constant urge to justify yourself. Too often, people feel responsible for explaining every decision they make. They apologize excessively, defend simple choices, and provide lengthy reasons whenever someone questions them. At first glance, this appears polite, but beneath the surface, it often reveals uncertainty. It quietly suggests that your decisions require someone else's approval before they become acceptable. Imagine making a choice that aligns with your values. Instead of feeling comfortable with that decision, you immediately begin preparing explanations in case someone disagrees. Over time, this habit trains your mind to seek permission instead of trusting your own judgment. Confidence grows when you become comfortable making thoughtful decisions and allowing those decisions to stand without endless justification. This doesn't mean becoming dismissive or arrogant. It simply means recognizing that your life cannot be governed by the opinions of everyone around you. Sometimes a calm, respectful answer is enough. Sometimes silence says even more. As you stop over-explaining, something subtle begins to change. You become less concerned with convincing others and more focused on remaining true to yourself. People also begin responding differently. They sense certainty in your words because your confidence no longer depends on whether everyone agrees with you. Your presence becomes calmer, your communication becomes clearer, and your decisions carry greater weight because they are supported by conviction rather than insecurity. The next transformation takes place in a conversation that nobody else can hear. Every day your mind produces thousands of thoughts, and many of them become the story you tell yourself about who you are. If that story is filled with doubt, criticism, and fear, it becomes extremely difficult to project confidence in the outside world. The words you repeat internally eventually shape your behavior. Think about how often people say things such as, "I'm terrible at this," "I always fail," or "everyone is probably judging me." These statements may feel harmless because they remain inside the mind, but repeated often enough, they become beliefs. Once beliefs take root, they begin influencing decisions. Opportunities are avoided, conversations become uncomfortable, and challenges appear larger than they truly are. Changing your inner dialogue doesn't require pretending that life is perfect. It simply requires speaking to yourself with the same patience and encouragement you would offer someone you genuinely care about. Instead of allowing mistakes to become proof of inadequacy, treat them as evidence that you are learning. Replace harsh conclusions with constructive questions. Ask yourself what the experience can teach you rather than what it supposedly says about your worth. Your mind learns through repetition. Every encouraging thought, every balanced perspective, and every reminder that you can adapt gradually reshapes the way you see yourself. As your internal dialogue becomes healthier, your actions naturally begin reflecting that change. You approach situations with greater calm, recover from setbacks more quickly, and become less intimidated by uncertainty because your greatest supporter is no longer outside you. It is within you. Confidence also depends on something deeper than positive thinking: self-respect. It is impossible to genuinely believe in yourself while repeatedly breaking promises to yourself. Every commitment you keep strengthens trust in your own character. Every commitment you ignore weakens it. This is why confidence grows through ordinary daily actions rather than dramatic moments. Waking up when you promised you would, finishing work you intended to complete, maintaining healthy habits, practicing discipline even when motivation disappears. These small actions may seem insignificant individually, but together they create powerful evidence that you can rely on yourself. That evidence becomes self-respect. Once you trust yourself, confidence develops naturally because you no longer wonder whether you are capable. You already possess proof. Self-respect also influences the standards you accept from others. People often treat us according to the standards we quietly communicate. If you constantly ignore your own needs, tolerate disrespect, or sacrifice your values simply to avoid conflict, you unintentionally teach others that these behaviors are acceptable. Protecting your time, your peace, and your principles isn't selfish. It is an expression of self-worth. The more consistently you respect yourself, the more likely others are to do the same. Another important shift occurs when you stop depending on approval. Nearly everyone enjoys appreciation, but problems arise when approval becomes a necessity rather than a pleasant bonus. If every decision depends on whether people approve, you become trapped by their expectations. You stop expressing honest opinions, avoid meaningful risks, and slowly lose touch with your authentic self. Freedom begins when you recognize that not everyone will understand your choices, and that is perfectly acceptable. Instead of asking whether everyone likes you, ask whether your actions align with your values. Instead of chasing applause, pursue integrity. Ironically, people often respect those who no longer seek constant validation because genuine confidence is attractive precisely because it is independent. Living without needing approval does not mean rejecting relationships or becoming emotionally distant. It means appreciating encouragement without allowing it to define your identity. Compliments become enjoyable instead of necessary. Criticism becomes information instead of devastation. You remain open to learning while refusing to hand your emotional well-being to someone else's opinion. One of the clearest demonstrations of confidence is emotional restraint. Many people assume strength means reacting immediately whenever they feel challenged. In reality, emotional control often displays far greater strength than emotional intensity. When someone attempts to provoke you, your immediate reaction determines who controls the moment. If another person's words instantly dictate your emotions, they temporarily possess your attention and your peace. Choosing calm instead of impulsive reaction changes everything. Silence creates space for thought. A brief pause allows emotion to settle before decisions are made. Many situations that initially seem urgent become insignificant after a few moments of reflection. By refusing to react automatically, you preserve your energy for challenges that truly deserve your attention. This quiet composure doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations or allowing disrespect to continue. Rather, it means responding intentionally instead of emotionally. When you eventually speak, your words carry greater influence because they emerge from clarity rather than anger. People begin noticing that you are difficult to manipulate because your emotions are guided by your own judgment instead of external pressure. Confidence, then, is not a performance designed for other people. It is the result of countless private decisions made long before anyone is watching. It grows every time you trust your own judgment, strengthen your inner dialogue, honor your commitments, protect your values, and choose thoughtful responses over emotional impulses. Little by little, those daily choices reshape your identity until confidence is no longer something you try to display. It simply becomes part of who you are. Your mind learns through repetition. Every encouraging thought, every balanced perspective, and every reminder that you can adapt gradually reshapes the way you see yourself. As your internal dialogue becomes healthier, your actions naturally begin reflecting that change. You approach situations with greater calm, recover from setbacks more quickly, and become less intimidated by uncertainty because your greatest supporter is no longer outside you. It is within you. Confidence also depends on something deeper than positive thinking: self-respect. It is impossible to genuinely believe in yourself while repeatedly breaking promises to yourself. Every commitment you keep strengthens trust in your own character. Every commitment you ignore weakens it. This is why confidence grows through ordinary daily actions rather than dramatic moments. Confidence is communicated long before a single word leaves your mouth. Every movement, every expression, and every posture tells a story about how you see yourself. Whether you realize it or not, People notice the way you enter a room, the pace of your walk, the way you maintain eye contact, and even how comfortably you occupy space. These silent signals often leave a stronger impression than anything you eventually say. When your body reflects uncertainty, your words struggle to convince people otherwise. But when your posture is relaxed, your movements are deliberate, and your presence is calm, others naturally sense confidence before the conversation even begins. Fortunately, confident body language isn't something people are born with. Like any skill, it can be developed through awareness and practice. Stand with purpose rather than shrinking yourself to avoid attention. Walk at a steady pace instead of rushing because you feel uncomfortable. Look people in the eye without intimidation or fear. These small adjustments don't simply change how others perceive you, they also change how you perceive yourself. The body and mind constantly influence one another. Carry yourself like someone who belongs, and eventually your mind begins believing that you truly do. Many people unknowingly spend their lives reacting instead of leading. Every comment influences their mood. Every disagreement steals their focus, and every unexpected event determines the direction of their day. Living this way places your happiness in the hands of circumstances you cannot control. Leadership, however, begins with self-leadership. It begins by deciding that your actions will be guided by your values rather than your emotions. Imagine walking into a difficult meeting. One person immediately becomes defensive when challenged. Another listens carefully, considers the situation, and responds thoughtfully without allowing frustration to take control. The difference is not intelligence or experience. The difference is emotional discipline. Leaders understand that every reaction creates momentum. They pause long enough to choose the direction they want that momentum to take. The same principle applies in relationships. If your emotional state constantly depends on another person's mood, you surrender your stability. But when you remain calm, regardless of someone else's emotional swings, you become an anchor rather than another wave in the storm. People naturally trust individuals who remain steady when everyone else becomes overwhelmed. Leadership is rarely about controlling other people. It is about mastering yourself so consistently that your composure influences those around you. Growth rarely occurs inside comfortable routines. Almost everything valuable in life requires entering situations that initially feel unfamiliar, uncertain, or even frightening. Yet most people avoid discomfort because they mistake it for danger. They choose familiarity over opportunity, safety over growth, and certainty over possibility. While comfort may provide temporary relief, it also limits progress. Confidence cannot develop where nothing challenges it. Think back to the first time you attempted something difficult. Perhaps it was speaking before an audience, starting a new career, meeting unfamiliar people, or learning an entirely new skill. At first, the experience felt uncomfortable. Your heart raced, your thoughts became uncertain, and failure seemed likely. Yet every time you repeated the experience, your confidence quietly increased. The challenge itself did not disappear. Instead, your capacity to handle it expanded. This is how confidence is built, not by avoiding fear, but by collecting evidence that fear does not have the final word. Every uncomfortable experience becomes proof that you are capable of adapting. Every difficult conversation, every calculated risk, and every challenge overcome strengthens your belief in your own resilience. Confidence is earned through experience, not imagination. Whenever fear appears, try viewing it differently. Instead of treating discomfort as a warning to stop, recognize it as evidence that growth is taking place. Physical exercise offers a useful comparison. Muscles become stronger only when they are challenged beyond their current ability. The same principle applies mentally and emotionally. The situations that stretch you today become the situations that feel ordinary tomorrow. Eventually, you realize that your confidence has expanded because your comfort zone expanded with it. Another habit shared by genuinely confident people is their ability to communicate with intention. Many individuals speak excessively because silence makes them uncomfortable. They fill every pause with explanations, stories, or unnecessary details because they fear being overlooked. Ironically, speaking more often reduces the impact of what is being said. Words lose their weight when they are used carelessly. People who possess quiet confidence understand the value of restraint. They listen carefully before speaking. They choose their words with purpose instead of reacting impulsively. They are comfortable allowing silence to exist because they do not feel pressured to constantly prove themselves. As a result, when they finally speak, others naturally pay attention. Listening is one of the most underestimated forms of confidence. It requires patience, curiosity, and the willingness to place understanding above self-expression. While many people listen only long enough to prepare their own response, confident individuals listen to truly understand another perspective. They gather information, observe emotions, and recognize details that others overlook. Their responses become more thoughtful because they are built upon understanding rather than assumption. There is also remarkable power in saying less. Short, clear, honest statements often communicate far more confidence than lengthy explanations. They reflect certainty rather than hesitation. They demonstrate that you value clarity over persuasion. This does not mean becoming quiet in every situation. It means speaking because your words have value, not because silence feels uncomfortable. Perhaps no experience challenges confidence more consistently than rejection. Everyone experiences disappointment, criticism, missed opportunities, and moments when things simply do not work out. The difference between confident people and everyone else is rarely the absence of rejection. The difference lies in the meaning they assign to it. Some people interpret rejection as evidence that they are inadequate. A declined opportunity becomes proof that they lack ability. A failed attempt convinces them to stop trying altogether. This interpretation slowly destroys confidence because every setback becomes a judgment of personal worth. A healthier perspective recognizes rejection as information rather than identity. Every unsuccessful attempt contains lessons that success often hides. It reveals areas for improvement, encourages resilience, and redirects attention toward better opportunities. Many of history's greatest achievements were preceded by repeated failure. Inventors, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, and leaders all experienced countless disappointments before achieving lasting success. Their confidence grew not because they avoided rejection, but because they refused to allow rejection to define them. Instead of asking why something happened to you, begin asking what it can teach you. Every obstacle contains knowledge if you remain willing to learn from it. Sometimes rejection protects you from pursuing the wrong direction. Other times it exposes weaknesses that can become strengths through practice. Either way, it loses much of its power once you stop viewing it as a measure of your value. There is also freedom in expecting rejection rather than fearing it. When you understand that meaningful goals naturally involve uncertainty, disappointment becomes part of the journey instead of the end of it. Every attempt strengthens your resilience. Every setback sharpens your perspective. Every lesson prepares you for opportunities that did not previously exist. Confidence continues growing whenever you choose persistence over discouragement. It becomes stronger each time you stand back up after disappointment instead of allowing temporary failure to determine your future. Eventually, you realize that rejection cannot permanently stop someone who refuses to stop learning. At that moment, confidence transforms from fragile optimism into quiet certainty because it is no longer built upon perfect outcomes. It is built upon the knowledge that regardless of what happens, you possess the ability to adapt, improve, and continue moving forward. True confidence reaches its highest level when you stop tying your happiness to outcomes. Many people hesitate to pursue opportunities because they become obsessed with whether they will succeed or fail. This fear keeps them trapped in hesitation. Real confidence comes from focusing on what you can control, your preparation, your effort, and your attitude, while accepting that the final result is never fully within your control. Once you detach your self-worth from success or failure, you become free to take risks, learn from every experience, and move forward without fear. Another important part of protecting your confidence is learning to set healthy boundaries. Your time, energy, and peace are valuable, and not everyone deserves unlimited access to them. Saying no does not make you selfish. It demonstrates self-respect. Every time you protect your values instead of sacrificing them to please others, you reinforce the belief that your needs matter. The people who genuinely respect you will understand your boundaries, while those who become upset often reveal why those boundaries were necessary in the first place. Life will also test your confidence through unexpected challenges and difficult moments. During chaos, most people panic and allow emotions to control their decisions. The strongest individuals do the opposite. They slow down, breathe, and remain calm while everyone else is rushing. Staying composed during pressure allows you to think clearly, make better decisions, and become a source of stability for others. Confidence is not proven when everything is easy. It is revealed when circumstances become difficult. Lasting confidence is built on competence. Positive thinking alone is not enough. The more you practice a skill, the more certain you become of your abilities. Every repetition, every mistake, and every lesson learned strengthens your belief in yourself. Eventually, what once felt intimidating becomes natural because your confidence is supported by experience rather than hope. True certainty comes from knowing you have done the work. The final lesson is perhaps the most powerful of all. Live as though you already possess everything you need within yourself. This does not mean rejecting success, relationships, or ambition. It means refusing to depend on them for your sense of worth. Enjoy achievements without allowing them to define you. Appreciate relationships without becoming emotionally dependent on them. Welcome praise without requiring it to feel valuable. When your peace comes from within, nothing outside of you can easily take it away. Ultimately, confidence is not something you perform for other people. It is the quiet result of consistent self-respect, emotional discipline, resilience, and personal growth. It is built through the choices you make every day, choosing courage over fear, discipline over excuses, and authenticity over approval. The more you practice these habits, the less you seek validation from the world and the more secure you become in yourself. When you reach that point, confidence is no longer something you try to display. It simply becomes the way you live.